Yo, what is up, guys? It is Archimedes Eisen here, back at it again with another what if. Now, in this video, we're gonna be doing what if Naruto was Yuta's Oketsu's reincarnation. So pretty much, if you guys don't know who Yuta Oketsu is, he doesn't really have curse technique, but he is from the anime Jujutsu Kaisen. So I'll kind of take a little time to explain his abilities. He doesn't really have curse techniques unless you read the volume 0, but he uses his sword. He's just a shit ton strong. He has a lot of strength, and so he's a pretty good swordsman, and he has reverse curse technique, so he can pretty much heal himself, and it's just pretty OP. And he also has an infinite amount of curse energy, or limitless amount, whatever you want to say, since infinite, and like you can't have an infinite amount of something. If you can't have an infinite amount of speed, it's just not possible. But basically, check my socials, which I'll be linking in the description, like my TikTok, my Instagram, my Discord server, my Discord tag. Yeah. And without further ado, guys, let's get straight into this what if. Now, we start this what if when Naruto is born. He would kind of have like black hair, similar to Yuta. And pretty much when Naruto was born, Obito or Madara or the masked man would pretty much hold Naruto at neck point with a kunai, and pretty much this would cause Minato to save Naruto, but would leave Kushina just defenseless, since that was Obito's plan. So Obito would take Kushina to the Seilen Shrine, rip out the Nine Tails, force it into a ceiling, like a summoning pack, and pretty much you would release it into the village after putting it into a genjutsu. Now the Nine Tails would go rampaging through the village, and pretty much Obito would head towards the Hokage's tower. Not the tower, like the place itself, but the mountain. Now, once he gets up there, Minato would then, appear, and they would have their fight, just like per usual. Now, pretty much what would happen is Naruto, would pretty much get the Nine Tails healed inside of him, just like a cannon. Minato would end that fight by, slamming a Rasengan into Obito's back, and pretty much Minato and Kushina would die from getting stabbed by the Nine Tails. But without further ado, guys, all those events would pretty much go to canon. Now Naruto would pretty much grow up, and he'd kind of grow up normally. He would have trained due to the villagers kind of having it out from him. So he would have gotten a few fights, and he would have survived due to him having a sword, which he did get from one of his days. He was running through an alley. He was running from the Anbu, who were chasing him because he literally just vandalized the Hokage's face, like the tower. And he ran through an alley, and he found this sword who just pretty much appeared out of thin air, and had a certain glow to it. So he would just walk up to it and start to awe at it, and pretty much the Anbu would appear, and they would go to basically knock Naruto out, just something, since Naruto is actually quite quick, and they kind of want to knock Naruto out, so it's pretty easy. But Naruto would grab the sword and kind of just instinctively swing, not actually intentionally. It's just you feel someone behind you, you would obviously turn around quickly. So he would turn around, swing the blade, and this would pretty much slice the Anbu's head off, just no mercy at all. And Naruto would look at his hands, and he'd be quite surprised at the strength that he has. He literally just took someone's head off. Then the other Anbu would go after Naruto, and Naruto would pretty much appear behind them, and their chests were just split open from getting cut. And Naruto would be quite surprised at this outburst of power he just shown, and he'd pretty much dump the bodies before going about his day. Now, he would head home, and he would spend the rest of the night just doing what he usually did. There wasn't much to do. He barely got any money, so it's not like he can go somewhere where it's entertaining. So he just kind of head to sleep, and that's just how his life went for the next maybe 6 years. It was 10 at that age, 10 at that area of time. So yeah, 6-year time skip. So pretty much Naruto would wake up the next day, 6 years later, and it would have been the day that they're basically getting put into teams. The other day, they just passed the graduation exams. So yeah. Now I don't really need to explain the graduation exam since we all know Naruto is gonna pass. There isn't really no reason that Naruto is not gonna pass. So Naruto would head towards the academy with his usual outfit, basically like Yuta's outfit. And pretty much once he would get to the academy, he would walk in the door and just sit by himself. Since he's not like an emo person, he's just like this. That table is empty, so like why not? So he would sit down, and pretty much a few minutes later, Iruka would walk in, and the other students would walk in, and Iruka would start to explain to them about where they'll be placed in. So he would start from Team 7 to Team 10. So Team 7, the sensei would be Kakashi Hatake, and the members are Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura. Now Team 8 would be Hinata, Shino, and Kiba, and their sensei would be Kurenai. Now Team 10 would then be Shikamaru, Ino, and Choji, with their sensei being Asuma. Now, after all the teams are introduced, Asuma and Kurenai would walk in a few minutes later, and they would pick up their team. But for Team 7, they had to wait about 2 hours. Let's just say Kakashi had a pretty bad habit when it comes to being late to certain events. Now, Kakashi would come about 2 hours later, and this time the eraser would not fall on his head. But basically, Naruto would have set up like a trap, like an actual trap, and an arrow would come like flying from like the other side of the classroom, and Kakashi would have just grabbed it and pretty much snapped it in half. Now he would have looked towards Naruto, since he pretty much sensed Naruto, like just instinctively known that it was Naruto. Like he is a Jonin for a reason, and basically Naruto's dying over there in laughter, of course. But basically, like Kakashi would say that you guys are boring, because that arrow was not too fast, but he would tell Team 7 that meet me up by the roof, and pretty much Naruto would disappear into like a pile of mud, and then Sasuke and Sakura would go up the stairs, and Kakashi would use the body flicker. Now Naruto would get up the roof, and he would sit down on the stairs, and pretty much Sasuke and Sakura would come by, and pretty much Kakashi would start his introduction, telling them what they'll be doing, just etc. Now Kakashi would introduce himself, saying my name's Kakashi Hatake. My likes, none of your business. My dislikes, none of your business either. And my goal, I don't really have one. Then he would say, "Oh, it's your turn, Sakura." And Sakura would just kind of do her usual mumbling. She didn't really say much, but like in everyone, if everyone knew what she was saying. So Naruto would go next, and Naruto would say his likes are training with his sword, and pretty much like going around and making mischief. So he's kind of like a mischievous kid. And you would kind of like do an evil smile there, not like just comedic relief. I can't even say anything, but it's trying to be bro, I can't say comedy in like a verb. I'm being stupid, but basically he's just trying to be funny. So Sasuke would go next, and he would pretty much start to explain. Not explain, but he's telling them that his likes and dislikes, and that his goal is to kill Itachi, for basically Itachi killing the clan. So kind of like his usual canon goals, likes and dislikes. By the way, Naruto's goal would be to basically become the greatest swordsman in the whole world. Nobody really thought that was a bad goal. It's a pretty okay goal. And pretty much Kakashi would tell them to meet him at Training Ground 7 at around maybe 7 a.m. tomorrow, and he tells them not to eat. Now Kakashi would then disappear into a pile of leaves, basically signifying that the meeting's over. Now Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura would head back to their homes, with Naruto spending the rest of the day training and sleeping. Now, the next day, Naruto would wake up, completely forgetting what Kakashi would say, since he really doesn't care anyway, if he did remember, and he would eat breakfast before heading to the training ground. So, Once he would get to the training ground, he would see Sasuke and Sakura waiting there, and pretty much he would sit down, start reading a book, and about 4 hours would fly by. Now, Naruto's food would have digested, since that's how long it takes for food to digest. So when Kakashi came by, he wouldn't have known that anyone actually ate. So yeah, he would start the bell test. So he would start to explain to them what the bell test is, and explain to them that this went through generations from the second Hokage. So everyone would feel a little bit happy, or not happy, like a little proud that they'll be doing a test that even the second, third, and fourth Hokage did, and including Kakashi himself. So Kakashi would pull out 2 bells, and he would tell them, you guys need to pretty much get these bells for me by the end of the day, or all of you will be going back to the academy. Sakura would point out a pretty simple fact, that there's only 2 bells, and each of them has to get one right, and Kakashi would nod. So Sakura would then say, then we wouldn't be able to get one, there'd be a person who's always missing a bell. Kakashi would then say, well, that's the thing, only if 2 of you would actually be passing, one of you will be going back to the academy to learn about what to do next. Like, for the next year, pretty much. Kakashi would then kind of say this with a devious smile, and pretty much like the only person that would be scared there is Sakura. Like Sasuke and Naruto would kind of get a more determined look in their eye, and pretty much Kakashi would say start. Now Naruto would then disappear, since Naruto, this being Yuta's reincarnation, Yuta isn't really that aggressive when it comes to fighting, so he likes to be silent. So he wants Kakashi to feel comfortable and start reading his book. So he would see Kakashi would start reading his book, and he would unsheath his blade. He would then pretty much appear behind Kakashi and swipe at him, and Kakashi would then pretty much quickly turn around. Due to his Sharingan, he would easily, barely react to Naruto's swing. So he would then go and clash with his kunai to Naruto's sword, and pretty much they would start a clashing battle. Naruto would clash with Kakashi and keep going for about 10 or 12 swings. Now, pretty much Naruto would infuse curse energy into his blade and appear behind Kakashi before a cut would then appear over his chest. Then Kakashi would pretty much turn into wood, and Kakashi would come from under Naruto and go for a uppercut to Naruto's chin. Now Naruto would then kind of pull back before getting his sword and pretty much stabbing it through Kakashi's stomach. Then Kakashi would then, something weird would happen to Kakashi. Like, his whole body would start to, there would be a lightning sound before his whole body would turn into lightning, and this would electrocute Naruto. Now, once pretty much the smoke would clear, Naruto would be seen with the marks all over his body and bruises as well. And pretty much a few seconds later, they would all start to disappear due to Naruto's reverse curse technique and him having the 9 tails. So pretty much Naruto would kind of put his hand on his shoulder and kind of just move the dust away from his shirt, and you would say, not bad, but not good enough, as he would appear behind Kakashi and basically stab him through the stomach, or the rib area. Now Kakashi would be a little surprised about this, and then a few seconds later he would pretty much be knocked out due to Naruto infusing a certain not curse technique, but curse energy, and just too much of it would make you pass out. It's kind of like characters in Bleach that use the Ryatsu to knock people out. Kind of like the same thing happened here. Now Naruto would grab the 2 bells, throw them to Sasuke and Sakura, and he would pretty much tie Kakashi up to the tree. Now, once he would do this, they would wait for Kakashi to wake up, and once Kakashi would wake up, Naruto would explain to them that this test wasn't really about only two people, becoming a team, since only, in the whole history of ninja, it's a 4-man team. 3 are Genin and 1 are Jonin. So it's not really possible for only Team 7 to have a 2-man team. So pretty much Kakashi would concede and say, yeah, this was just a teamwork test, and he would start to go over Obito's quote about never letting a comrade not letting a comrade down. So pretty much Kakashi would explain to the team about the importance of teamwork, and after this they would all head home, and Team 7 would have been properly I guess started. So pretty much for the next week, Team 7 would have been doing boring D-rank missions, but they would have been learning a few techniques after they spent the whole day doing D-rank missions. So like that morning, Team 7 would have just finished a D-rank mission after like catching the same cat for about a week. It would have been much easier, but a cat's a cat. It's pretty annoying when you have to catch the same cat like for a week straight. And that cat is not just some normal cat; it's a pretty aggressive cat. But basically, Kakashi would kind of just like hand in the mission report before Naruto would would pretty much talk, say, hey, we want a better mission, and Sasuke would, kind of cut in and basically explain that he needs to get stronger, and these cats are not gonna, make him strong enough to, kill Itachi. So they would have a vote, and obviously all three would say yes, because Sakura is a simp, Sasuke wants to get stronger, and Naruto wants to get stronger as well. Kakashi would then take this up with Hiruzen, and Hiruzen would see that Naruto basically beat Kakashi on his own. Sasuke has some great potential, and Sakura reminded him of Tsunade. So yeah, he definitely sees like the new Sannin right here. So pretty much Hiruzen would hand him a scroll, and once like Kakashi would read this, pretty much this would be the scroll for the Land of the Waves. Now this mission details are basically saying that, there's a super bridge builder in town, and he wants a team to escort him back to the Land of the Waves. So yeah, Team 7 would have pretty much signed up for this mission, and Team 7 would meet up with Tazuna, and Tazuna this time would still call them weak. Not Naruto weak, but Sakura and Sasuke weak. Well, they would get a little annoyed, but they really wouldn't say anything about it. Now Team 7 would pack up, and they would meet at the village gates before they would head out of the village. Now once Team 7 would kind of get about maybe a few kilometers inside, a few hundred kilometers, they would kind of be near the Land of the Waves. And the thing is, it was a grueling hot day. It was about 90 to 95 degrees. It was pretty hot. So when they passed by, they would pretty much see a puddle. Now Naruto would be a little confused. Why is there a puddle? It's scorching hot. There's no way that there's a puddle. And he would kind of like use his cursed energy, and he would see that there's chakra, like almost as if the water is not water. The water is like chakra, pretty much disguised as chakra. So pretty much Naruto would make a nod at Kakashi and Sasuke, and pretty much they would walk by pretending like they didn't notice it, and the demon brothers would come out. Now Naruto would be quick to react. He would appear behind the left demon, the one that's holding the chain, like they're holding a chain going to like decapitate Kakashi. Now Naruto would appear behind the left one and pretty much slice his head off pretty easily. Then he would grab the chain, and the other brother would become flying towards Naruto before he would then pretty much clothesline him before snapping his neck. Pretty much reaching into the dead Chunin scroll and getting like a pouch, like not like information, okay, on like what the mission is. Now they would read about it, and they would go through the notes of the demon brothers, and they would see that this mission, they would have wrote down that it was like they're going after an A rank target. So yeah, so Naruto would have realized this is an A rank mission. He would tell this to Kakashi, and Tazuna would start to spill the beans about what's really happening in the Land of the Waves. So after a few minutes of conversation, Team 7 would have agreed to basically continue with the mission. Now Team 7 would keep going, and pretty much they'll make it towards like the Land of the Waves. Now they would pretty much walk past a forest when they would feel a presence, and a mist start to form. So the mist would start to form, and it would get thick enough where they couldn't feel the presence anymore, and they would keep walking. Now Kakashi out of nowhere would say duck, and pretty much a blade would start flying through, and pretty much this blade would lodge itself in the tree after Team 7 would have ducked, and the blade would have barely missed their heads. So pretty much the blade would lodge itself into the tree, and pretty much Zabuza would jump in and start to introduce himself. He would say, I'm Zabuza Momochi, and everyone realized this guy's an S-rank ninja, and Naruto would have had an evil smile. Like a devious smile. This guy's an S-rank ninja, he's a swordsman, one of the swordsmen of the mist. If I beat this guy, I could probably, show myself as a good swordsman. So he would unsheath his sword and appear behind Zabuza to slice, and pretty much Zabuza would quickly get the executioner blade out of the tree before clashing with Naruto. Now Naruto would start to feel the strength that Zabuza is putting onto the blade, and Naruto would pretty much be a little happy. This feels like a strong presence itself. Now Naruto would then kind of dodge under the blade, and the blade would kind of like barely miss him, and pretty much Zabuza is open for an attack. So he would stab Zabuza right through the kind of the rib area, like between the heart area and the stomach. So kind of in that area where Ichigo kind of stabbed Byakuya in that fight, where he appeared behind Byakuya and pretty much stabbed him just like that. So pretty much Zabuza would grab the blade and pretty much try to take it out, but it wasn't working. Naruto was really he kept in piercing it through that area. So basically Zabuza would pretty much substitute himself out and would appear behind Naruto before going to slice him and his head off. But Naruto would then pretty much be interrupted by Kakashi, who would have came behind between them and pretty much clashed. Now Kakashi and Zabuza would have that fight, and Kakashi would tell Naruto that he has personal business with Zabuza, and basically Kakashi would have had a fight with Zabuza back in the 3rd Great Ninja War, so they basically had a little bit of beef. So Kakashi would pretty much have the same fight with Zabuza, where he'd pretty much get trapped into a water prison jutsu, and Naruto would be like yada yada, or yada, I think it's yada yada or yada yada, but it means oh grief. So he would pretty much start shaking his head in disappointment before he would appear behind Zabuza and basically slap, literally, he's not gonna slap him, but he would have sliced him in half. So basically Zabuza seeing this would have turned into a water clone, and pretty much Naruto and Zabuza would pretty much have a short fight before Kakashi would interfere after breathing, getting air. He was just in the water prison jutsu. So Kakashi and Zabuza would then have a fight, just like in Ken. Kakashi copying every jutsu that Zabuza tries. It would be a little annoying. So Kakashi would press Zabuza with the help of Naruto. Him and Naruto would do a few combo attacks, with Naruto's slicing him, putting cuts and bruises on his arms and legs and shoulder and his chest, just everywhere. And Naruto, pretty much Naruto and Kakashi would have put Zabuza on the brink of death before 3 Senbone would have penetrated through Zabuza's neck, basically supposedly killing him. So after Zabuza quote-unquote died, Haku would then come down and pretty much save him, just like in canon, and pretty much they would head out of there. Now once Haku would get out of there, Kakashi would then pass out from Sharingan overuse. Naruto and Sasuke would carry Kakashi to Tazana's house, and pretty much they would recuperate for the next week, or the next 2 days, but they would then spend the rest of the time training. So pretty much this will actually be where I'm leaving off part 1 of What If Naruto Was Yuta Oketsu's reincarnation. I'll actually be doing putting a video explaining his powers, if I do remember, of course. If I don't remember, remind me in the comments. But basically, without further ado guys, peace out.